When I was just 11 years old, I unknowingly and somehow accidentally became a female advocate. It is said that girls with dreams become women with vision. May we empower each other to carry out such vision, because it isn't enough to simply talk about equality. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to simply believe in it. One must work at it. Let us work at it together, starting now. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Majesty Sussex Report with Antonio.
Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to Majesty Sussex Report, where royalty is redefined, truth prevails, and gossip fails. I'm Antonio, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you on this, my inaugural episode of my podcast. So excited. It was really important for me to have the empowered voice and images of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, to be the intro of this very first podcast. But for some reason, as I was watching it brought back memories of when Meghan visited that school in Dagenham, and the head boy said this to her.
She really is beautiful, isn't it?
I absolutely love everything about that clip. You can see that he's about to do something that probably he should not be doing, or about to say something he shouldn't be saying, but the guy took the risk, and I think it worked out. It's one of the clips that brings me such joy, and also to see Meghan with such a beautiful fun laughter, and caught completely off guard. It was just absolutely a beautiful moment. And once again, thank you for being here. You know, I contemplated doing this podcast about a year ago, and as many of us, or happens to many of us, we second guess ourselves. I kept thinking, like, leave it to the professionals. Who do I think I am? I probably don't have enough time to do any of this. But life has a very funny way to remind us about our passions or our priorities. And I'll share with you folks that I recently had a pretty serious health scare. And I was lucky to have this amazing, compassionate triage nurse who sat with me, and we were talking about life. And one of the things that just kept crystallizing for me was how much I appreciate my life and how much gratitude I have for my life. But at the same time, I questioned myself about why there's so many things I have not done, so many things I've wanted to do, but have not done them for one reason or another. Either I'm too shy, or I get scared, or I think about, what other people may think. So there's all these compounded things that prevents us from doing something that we are passionate, or sometimes just to try something out. But, in those challenging moments, we yearn for a life filled with adventure, free of regrets. And that is what I thought, I'm just going to do it. So here I am taking the leap into the unknown. And I sincerely hope that you will embark with me on this journey. And let's see, where it takes us. And I want to say, before we dive in head first, I wanted to put some structure to some of this anyways. And if you can allow me, please, to unveil what the essence, basically, of Majesty Sussex Report is all about. Our mission is both simple and profound, I think, and it's to redefine royalty, as Harry and Meghan have done, through a commitment to telling the truth, integrity, fairness, and frankly to challenge misinformation. In a media landscape right now that is often marred by negativity and bias, we profoundly and very proudly stand by Meghan and Harry. Because they're dedicated to presenting the facts, debunking myths, and spreading a message of empathy, compassion, and justice. With that said, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the remarkable podcasters and channels who have inspired Majesty Sussex Report. These voices have paved the way for us, tirelessly working to uphold the values of accuracy, integrity, and authenticity. And throughout the podcast today, I will be talking about some of them. Thank you. And now, over to the newsroom. Thank you for sticking around. As you may see, I had a quick digital change and digitally transported to our newsroom set. This seems like the right time, I hope, to ask you to please subscribe, click on the thumbs up sign, and please feel free to leave me a message or comment. You can ask me anything if you want, and I will do my best to respond in this space or in the next podcast. Please respect yourself, your mental health, and your physical health, and refrain from hateful comments. It's not healthy, and that energy will rot you from the inside. So just open the library instead and read, if you know what I mean. In the news, in the United Kingdom, the month of October marks the observance of Black History Month, a significant occasion that offers a platform for all to collectively embrace, celebrate, and gain insight into the profound impact of Black heritage and culture. It serves as a reminder that individuals of African and Caribbean descent have been an integral part of Britain's historical tapestry for countless centuries. In a poignant display of recognition and solidarity, their Royal Highnesses embarked on a meaningful journey to Cardiff, Wales last week Tuesday, at the shock of many, allegedly. There, they had the privilege of engaging with members of the Windrush generation, all while immersing themselves in the involvement work of diverse community organizations. And the future king even had his am I supposed to read that? Oh, okay. Is it not a little vulgar? Was he not with pensioners, seniors? Okay, I will read it. And the future king even had his rear end pinched or grabbed or slapped. He exclaimed, allegedly. This outing holds a dual purpose. It commemorates the 75th anniversary of the arrival of the HMT Empire Windrush to London and marks the commencement of Black History Month, a poignant observance celebrated throughout the United Kingdom during the month of October. Their Royal Highnesses were so happy. They are now poised to make a significant contribution to the remembrance of the Windrush generation. This forthcoming appearance is a special Windrush documentary on ITV. Well, after 30 years of not being involved with Black History Month in the UK, I think it's great that the Prince and Princess are getting involved. I am told that we're getting in contact with Lady Annabella Montalbank, our Royal Majesty insider. If she doesn't say, "Oh, Lady Annabella, can she hear me?" She can. So okay. So I should wait. We will wait for you, Lady Annabella. Yes. Okay. She doesn't. All right. That's fantastic. Well, as soon as Lady Annabella gets. Oh, there she is.
How do you do, Antonio? My dearest, stop the shock and the fuss about the Cardiff visit. Willie had no idea he was allowed to partake in the Black History activities. You know his best friend Sai, who he misses terribly. This friend CEO Barkin, who he knows for more than 10 years and once slept rough with him. The Telegraph wrote all about it on the Bird app. Now the X app they have an enduring friendship told him nothing about the celebrations. Also, let's face it, Willie is a heartthrob. My friend Tom Cotterill can confirm from the Daily Fail. Knows all about it, he said. Willie joked with a rowdy bunch of 60-year-olds after his run through Central Park. I mean, no one can resist his calm.
Lady Annabella,
Dearest,
before you go,
must go.
I still have a few
Let's converse later.
That was Lady Annabella Montalbank, our Royal Majesty insider. Hopefully we will get to speak with her at a more convenient time for her. In case you were wondering if Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex had recognized Black History Month in the UK, they did pen an op-ed in Town and Country magazine dated 1st of October 2020. And the Duchess did say that if she was aware sooner that there was a Black History Month celebration in October in the UK, she would have taken action a lot sooner. I'll read the following for you. Our friend Arthur will actually read what Prince Harry said. So here we go. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex celebrated the start of Black History Month in the UK with a passionate op-ed and interview with the Evening Standard. They also shared a list of next-gen trailblazers they wish to highlight, a group of notable leaders whose influence is making a positive and lasting impact on British culture, as the royal couple explained in their article. In a video interview with The Standard, the couple spoke about the Black Lives Matter movement in the US and protests elsewhere, and Harry explained how his relationship with Meghan had helped him understand the gravity of the situation.
Some may question why this is needed, or why we think it is important. For us, it is about education and awareness. For as long as structural racism exists, there will be generations of young people of color who do not start their lives with the same equality of opportunity as their white peers. And for as long as that continues, untapped potential will never get to be realized. I wasn't aware of so many of the issues and so many of the problems within the UK, and also globally as well. I thought I did, but I did. You know, when you go into a shop with your children and you only see white dolls, do you even think, that's weird, there is not a black doll there? And I use that as just one example of where we as white people don't always have the awareness of what it must be like for someone else of a different colored skin, of a black skin, to be in the same situation as we are, where the world that we know has been created by white people, for white people, for white people.
Next is our segment, No Comment.
The BBC really have to sack Danny Baker. I have to declare an interest. I was the producer of a show with Danny more than 30 years ago, and I've always thought of him as a really good bloke, a brilliant broadcaster, and one of the funniest men I've ever met. And anyone who knows Danny knows there's not a racist bone in his body. So for him to be sacked for tweeting a comment about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex baby with a photo of a suited chimpanzee in a top hat seems a bit over the top, especially as he was contrite once his mistake was pointed out to him. No one believes it was intentional racism, so
between intended racism and accidental racism. Otherwise, we don't give people the chance to redeem themselves. If everything is racist, whether you intended it or not, then there's no forgiveness. There's no redemption and there's no apology.
The concept of forgiveness.
There's no apology. Why apologize if you're guilty anyway? Then that's it. You can't change it. You know, and it's.
Do you not accept that? I mean, you're sitting back, and I get your.
I'm ready to speak. I haven't had a chance to come in. In response to your question, Carol, my issue is that everybody makes the person who does the racist thing the victim. So you're asking, is it right that he was sacked? Greg's saying he's a nice guy. He's going to lose his job. How is he the victim in this scenario? This is a pregnant woman who had to arrange new levels of protection because of the amount of racist abuse she was receiving, which escalated when she announced she was pregnant. She's always had racist abuse, but when she announced her pregnancy, it multiplied because there is so much toxic racism in our society.
It's not Danny Baker's fault.
That's not Danny Baker's fault, but what is Danny Baker's fault is that he did something which was so offensive that when I first saw it, I actually thought it was a prank. I just thought nobody who the BBC gives a platform could be stupid enough to say this and not intend it to be racist, because it is one of, and we could talk about unintended racism or microaggressions, this is none of those. This is the most blatant, clear-cut example of racism. It's that generations of people have recognised this as an overtly racist trope. Within people's lifetimes, black people were still being compared to monkeys and dehumanised regularly.
So the sacking is right.
So I'm not interested in him. I'm not interested in him or what happens to him. By the way, he's already done a show which was more successful than his previous shows since he's been sacked. So if you're worried about his career, then I suspect
no one's worried about his career.
I'm not interested in him. I'm worried about the millions of black people who regularly live with this kind of abuse and then have to be in spaces like this where everybody denies it's a problem. That is something that I could not feel more strongly about, and I'm living it right now in this conversation. It's not good enough.
It's time for some great news. Suits has broken yet another record for Nielsen. Not only it is the twice over most streamed acquired program, the USA legal drama has now spent more time at number 1 on Nielsen top 10 streaming programs than any other title. Does that make me happy? More than happy. I'm excited about this.
Hola Latinoamérica, soy Meghan Markle, Rachel Zane de Suits y les invito a que vean la serie desde el 4 de julio por Space.
So from IGN, they say, according to Nielsen's streaming charts, the legal drama now has the most weeks at number one than any other show, stealing the record from Ozark. Even more impressive is how long it's taken Suits to accomplish this. Ozark took the entirety of its 4 seasons to clinch the record. Suits took just 12 consecutive weeks. Looking at the figures, the stats get even crazier. Suits ranked up 2.35 billion. Let me repeat that. 2.35 billion viewing minutes in the week ending September 10th. That's almost 400 million minutes, more than the number 2 spot, Netflix Virgin River, which managed to rack up an impressive 1.9 billion viewing minutes. Listen, I'm not taking away from anyone who's involved in Suits, but this is my theory. I think that people go for Meghan Markle, right? Meghan presently has the most recognizable name, I would say, in the world. And you hear Meghan Markle and you get curious and you want to know. But once you're hooked in, right? Meghan is sort of like the hook. You just stay, because the show is fantastic. It's a really good show. It's well produced, well directed. The scripts are amazing. The stories are really good, and the acting is superb. It's a really, really great show. I'm so happy that, it did really well for it first time around, and now it's just doing amazing. So here is the moral of the story. Always be nice to your colleagues or your co-workers or your co-stars, because you never know. You never know if one of them is going to end up being one of the most famous, most recognizable people in the world, and that your show that you're on will be given a second chance and do even better. So that's the moral of the story. And I'd like to start first with Royal Sussex. Guided by the ever insightful Sir Baron, his dedication to uncovering the stories behind the headlines is truly commendable. And, to me, he's like the first officer. He's the captain in charge of the takeoff, of the cruising altitude, of the landing. I'm amazed by his live podcast that he does. And at times, most of the times I would say, it goes for 2 to 3 hours. And the stamina that this man has. And he always keeps everyone entertained. He's both has this amazing comedic timing and line delivery. My favorite thing that he says when he's delivering this line, when he goes, "I'm sick of it. I'm not going to try and even get close to how he says it, because it's just iconic the way he does it. I'm sick of it." It's so good. It's so good. And if you're lucky, ever so often also, he will burst out in show tunes, and it's just amazing to have someone like Baron at Royal Sussex bring that information, but at the same time create an environment where there is still some humor, and able to sort of create this really cool family and very welcoming environment. Many times I feel like I'm sitting at a dining table with a friend just telling these stories, or making sense of things that sometimes makes no sense whatsoever. He's absolutely amazing. So Baron, Royal Sussex, thank you. Next is Duchess of Success. Anne is the presenter extraordinaire. She consistently reminds us that success knows no bounds when driven by passion and purpose, and a commitment to making a positive impact, right? As a Brit, she shares with the audience her own lived experiences, and I'll say she is fair and pragmatic with her critiques. I love how she's able to sort of paint a more vivid, relatable experience for us listening and watching. One of the things too that is incredible is that she's fierce in keeping the space of her podcast safe and respectable. You know, I've heard, you know, once or twice someone say something that was or could have been offensive to someone else, and she's been very quick to shut it down or to you know have that debate. Like, she's not shy about it, and she's very confident in her viewpoint, and I absolutely love that. And Anne, thank you so much. Being part of that team too, it's been incredible seeing how each and every one of the different supporters of Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan come from a different angle, and it's amazing the things that each one is able to sort of reveal. So I'm appreciative of that. So thank you, and thank you, Duchess of Success.
Take me down to the river where the peace won't run dry. Gather round at the river where my soul comes to life and I come alive.
This year's Games is a home for respect. Think about that word for a second. Respect. What does it mean to you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Some people may act as if respect is something that veterans are asking for. That people with injuries, whether visible or invisible, have to demonstrate they are worthy of it. Some of you here may sometimes feel that way about yourselves. You have something to prove. But I've been thinking about something one of the competitors featured in the Heart of Invictus shared. Mr. Na from South Korea said, "I don't think we overcome disabilities. We overcome perceptions of ourselves in society." These games are not solely about medals, PBs, or finishing lines. They are about overcoming any and all perceptions that have held you back, especially those you've placed on yourselves.
Every time I come alive.
So, here, this week, right now, you break those ceilings. You plow down the highest of walls, and then you make space for what's deserved. Space for your worthiness. Space to thrive. Space for the truest form of respect. Claim this experience. Claim this moment, because all of this, all of us,
words are things, I'm convinced. You must be careful about the words you use, or the words you allow to be used in your house. In the Old Testament, we are told in Genesis that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. That's in Genesis. Words are things. You must be careful. Careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that. Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. I think they get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally into you.